This guy posted on LinkedIn he's raising money for his startup while being an active student athlete in college.
But what we really sell is opportunity. Give that kid, that's me 10 years from now, I want to give him the opportunity to maximize his potential and see where he can take that.
You made enough money from NFTs that it's been funding Athlete Squared up until now.
Yep, for almost 2 years.
Hard to fundraise if you're like full-time on it, athlete or not.
And they go, hey, we'll fund you all the money. Finally, we can just like kind of like move on, get past this. And then it was, you have to drop out of school.
How many guys do you travel? Like how many people are usually on staff, if you know on top of your head?
Like 70 people total, like
That's
with
crazy.
coaches. You're not gritty if you have like money coming in left and right. We actually prefer to just be like, let's figure it out.
Get married at 18, raise money, and sell the company. How old are you right now?
I'm 20.
Let's go, baby. This is another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack, and I bring on your favorite athletes to chat about the business they're building and entrepreneurship. Today, we got a really good one. First of all, I'm joined by my PIC partner in crime, guest co-host who's playing professional basketball in Spain, Santa Clara University legend, all conference a couple times, Josip Vrankic. Josip, what's up, my man? How we doing?
Doing good, man. Pleasure to be here, like always.
Yes. What time is it over there? You complained on WhatsApp how late it was. So go ahead. Publicly say how late it is over there.
10:40 p.m.
Okay.
Hey, but for you, my friend, not a problem. Never a problem.
Listen,
Never.
we moved the podcast 30 minutes up because you said your bedtime was 11:45.
Hey, guys got to work in the morning, man. Come on, baby.
Yeah, you got to work. What time is practice for you?
At 9. So I'm there at like 8:15, so I'm up at 7. Didn't expect that one, did you? Yeah, exactly.
No, it doesn't like completely
Didn't
check
expect that
out.
one, did you?
But
Yeah.
okay. Well, Joseph's joining me today because on a previous podcast we were talking about this crazy guy from Villanova raising money for a startup while in college. We got to talk to him. We got to talk the horse's mouth, and we appreciate it. We're joined by Tanner Maddocks, quarterback for Villanova, also the founder of Athlete Squared, building a platform where you can watch content from your favorite college athletes. I'm really excited for this one. This what Tanner's building hits home. What he's doing right now is something that, for those watching, a lot of people can resonate with. Tanner, thanks so much for joining us, man.
It's an honor. I'm excited for this. I got to obviously we got to talk through LinkedIn and I got to watch your guys' podcast. So figured, well, might as well hop on and fill in some of the areas there to give you guys a full story. And I think it'll be fun talking to some athletes. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. And we really appreciate it. But let's skip the small talk, Tanner. Right now, you're in the middle of the football season. You're filming right now in Coach Ferrante's office. No, I'm just kidding. But you guys are 5-1, Colonial Conference, like having a really good season so far. Okay, fall break, not to be confused with spring break right now in Villanova. What's the vibe check of the team? How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're coming off a bye. So, we're heading up to Maine actually we fly out Friday. So, we had a bye this week, which is well needed. We had some guys that are definitely, needed some rest. And then we got an easy trip. As much as away games kind of suck, Maine is literally the best one ever. It's an hour-and-a-half flight for us. And then the hotel is actually like attached to the airport. So we like literally don't even like leave the area. It's by far the best flight, or away trip. So we're excited. We got a good team coming up this weekend. They've been playing really well this year. They've been, they're always competitive in every game. They're going to give you a run for your money. So we're excited, man. We got a good squad. So it's more about just, executing on our end. And sometimes you can be lackadaisical coming off of a bye. So we got to make sure we come in there and handle business.
Joseph, how about them apples? Hotel attached to the airport.
Yeah, how many guys do you travel? Like how many people are usually on staff, and if you know on top of your head?
Shoot. So I know that I'd probably say it's around like 70 people total, like
That's
with
crazy.
coaches. Here's the thing is so like Title IX laws, which is like the having equal scholarships. So Nova doesn't have as many women's sports. So like when we play like a team like, well, we use Maine, but like Delaware, our rival, they have like 135 guys on their roster. That's like a typical size. We max out 95. So we go into each game with literally like, we're rocking with like 40 less guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when we
That's
travel,
two football teams.
yeah, literally it's crazy because we don't have the luxury. Like we don't even go like full pad to like ever because we can't. we can't get hurt.
But
Like,
yeah, one way, yeah.
have like our
Sucks
star
going
player
off
take a
there.
shot from a scout team guy, and
It's
he's
over.
probably
Oh,
yeah.
hey, don't talk to me about that, pal. I used to go against this scout team guy that would take a lot of shots, and we're talking to him right now. Fucking guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. How like how is it with NIL and your like I want to get can you give us, from your perspective, what are you seeing right now in NIL that's maybe changed even since NIL was legalized? I mean, what is it like between practices, games, managing that, navigating that?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is at our level, we don't really deal with it. There's not really much NIL opportunities for schools like us. And frankly, like everybody thinks like, NIL, all these college athletes are rich. It's like, it's really like the top 1%, or really, I'd probably even say like the 1% of the 1% are actually making real money,
Mm.
something that's actually sustainable to live off of. The guys like Travis Hunter and those kind of guys that, making the biggest plays on Saturdays, the biggest programs, those are the kind of guys that are actually making real money. So, um, you know, we don't really have to deal with it too much. So, I don't have much to speak on that end, but I mean, my expectation was, 2021, I committed to Nova, and that same month was when freaking, NIL became a thing. I'm like, I'm a high school kid. I'm like, let's go. I'm going to go and make money while I play sports. And like, got to college, got smacked in the face real quick with like, no, that's not how it is. So, we're trying to bring it in more. I mean, what it's turned into now is, as everybody has seen, it's just like schools have used as an opportunity to turn it into a business and just pay kids. And, we're basically like the minor leagues for the NFL at this point. When you get up to the higher levels, you just get paid to go play somewhere. And I know they're cracking down on that now because that's become a huge problem. But I don't really know how much you can control that. You kind of open Pandora's box. Kind of got to live with the consequences at this point.
I don't know, Tanner. You strike me as a guy that knows how to make money regardless of the level he's playing at.
Well, I saw it as I'm not going to make NIL where as Tanner Maddocks, but how about I just build a platform that makes it for other people and I'll profit from that. I can use NIL a different
Yeah.
way.
Has NIL helped you with that at all? It's kind of your own independent, like even if you weren't, even if there was no NIL, you think you still be involved with this, like your company and stuff?
Well, so that's the thing is, so like really what this company started as, so Athlete Squared was just really a solution to a problem that I had, which was, I went to a really, really crappy school if you want to play college football. So, I like
What
put a
school was
perspective.
it? Would you shout it out on the pod?
Yep, yeah, Fleetwood area high school. So actually, the funny thing is, I actually went to a school called Ole.
Fleetwood Mac?
So yeah, dude, it's an hour outside of Philly. But like Ole was like we had to drive your tractor to school day. That's the best way I could describe our school. It was like farm country. We didn't have enough players on our team, neither did Fleetwood. So we were like, hey, let's just combine and play with each other, right? Still really didn't even have that many guys. But in the 3 years before I got there, like leading up to me joining the team, we had 4 total wins in those 3 seasons. To put in perspective how great we were. But when we were working out, I just was like, all right, I got to do like something different if I want to like make this jump to the next level. So I started training from college athletes and wasn't like directly. I just started watching them and I was like, all right, my guys were Caleb Williams, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. Those were like kind of my playing style or the style that I wanted to play. Like I'm a very mobile quarterback. So I watched them make plays. I watched their highlights. And I'm like, all right, if I can make the same plays they can, put it on film just like they did, I can go the same place. And I went pretty simple
Right.
logic. So I trained this way. I just created drills. And I trained that way for a year, committed to Villanova. I was the first Division I kid to come out of our program. I'm on a full scholarship here. I'm blessed in that. But that was really like, hey, this is the solution. And that year that I committed was 2021, and then NIL became a thing. So for me, it was really just bridging a gap that I saw of like NIL made this possible. And without NIL, Athlete Squared wouldn't be a thing. So to say I'd monetize outside of it or if I would still be doing this, it really is dependent on the fact that like NIL happened to line up with like
Yeah.
being able to make it to the next level, which was kind of like the proof of concept to start.
Yeah.
So,
You-
yeah.
I my guys I looked up to, Tanner, Steve Nash, John Stockton, Mark Price, Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
I love that black and white film where I could barely see him, but I knew it was him. You know what I mean? Joseph, what do
And
you?
yeah, you named off a lot of great passers. I didn't see one assist in 4 years, my man. So I don't know where this coming from. You should say James
Right
Harden
back,
or
oh,
Allen Iverson or
right,
something. 'Cause you were
right
getting
back
them
at you,
up, yo.
right back
Those,
at you, Mr. Passing Jokic.
in those pickup games, you letting them fly. No,
I
but no,
had
but
to.
yeah, no, but similar. When I was in high school, I would just watch YouTube videos as well. I remember before games, I would just watch like Jokic videos, literally for like those 30 minutes clips that they post on YouTube, and I would just watch that like before a game. That was like I don't know my motive. I don't know what it was for, but that's how I got like my some moves and stuff like you said.
No, absolutely. I think we've always idolized the people ahead of us, and you're finding a way to productize that, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we're building the platform that's pretty much, we're the middleman. We're the ones connecting the young athletes that are looking for training with the college athletes that are looking to make money off of pretty much what they already do. I mean, if you're just a college athlete, you're already training. You're already on you're either on the court or you're on the field. You're already doing those things because, you're trying to earn a spot or you're trying to be all conference or an all American, wherever else it may be. So you're always looking advanced. You're always doing like the extra work on top of, what's already required of you. So it's more about like taking that and monetizing that. And that's really
Yeah.
where I saw the opportunity is like, hey, you're part of the top 7% of high school athletes that make that jump to college. There's relevance and there's influence in that. It's more about, okay, how do you monetize that? Because, when I did in-person training, I would drive 5 hours to Boston.
Ooh.
And a great quarterback coach, but he was Division III quarterback. So like, if you look at that, you're like, okay, it's more about how good of a coach are you rather than like what level or, all these other things. And, the Division III guy might know how to promote himself better than a Division I guy, and he might be able to capitalize and monetize that. So that's kind of where our platform brings like the opportunity to everybody, regardless of your situation or,
Right.
division.
My
If I'm
bad.
a high school athlete, so I pay to subscribe to your platform and then I can get access to this content library of training, or is it I pay per video? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so that's actually so we're going through a pivot right now. So that was kind of like the older model that we
Got it.
built. So we're under our third
Hey man, we love pivots. Pivots is part of life.
Pivot,
third
baby, pivot.
third complete pivot of Athlete Square is what we're going through right now. Actually, I literally have the designs put up on my laptop because I'm also our designer. So, we're going through the next pivot, and the next pivot is what you're talking about was pivot number 2, and
Okay.
then pivot number 3. What we're on to now is basically like a program like structure, program approach to it, but taking. Right now, if you look at the market, what is there for online sports training? There's either one-on-one, completely personalized training, which benefits, the young athlete, but it doesn't benefit the trainer because it's not really, it's no more efficient than doing in-person training. And then there's the complete other side of the spectrum where it's like, here's a course, it's one size fits all. Everybody's trained from it and it'll, figure out how to make it work for you, right? Doesn't benefit the young athlete because they all have personal needs. And then the college or the coaches, it benefits them. So we were kind of like, okay, how do we find ourselves falling in the middle? That I'm like, okay, there's got to be a solution somewhere in the middle.
You're basically building, each athlete, it's like their own training program at scale. And
Yep.
within the training program, there's opportunities for customized feedback.
Basically, yeah. So it's basically we're a personalized course program is one way to say it, of just like a course in itself. There's no personalization, which people need personalization. They all have different needs and different things they need to fix. So we're bringing that in the fact of everybody's starting with this base program, and from the specific needs that you had, we're going to add in different parts throughout to make sure that you're getting the personalization to your specific needs on top of what is already needed to be as a base college athlete. Hey, these are things that you have to know, and then these are things that you specifically need to fix to make it that jump to where you're looking to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about this, Tanner, like taking a step back here and I look at the landscape of subscription platforms where people are learning from or engaging with people of influence. I think of like Cameo. I think of obviously I saw Austin Eckler's new app Experience. I think of Intro, which is not in the sports space. It's more so for like people
Business.
in the investing industry, right? You've probably seen Intro, right? So there's all this creator economy emerging subscription platforms, right? Like, outside of the courses that you just mentioned, like why as an athlete would I, sign up to Athlete Squared versus maybe just trying my luck in the DMs or maybe another platform like Cameo?
Yeah. Structure, number one. When people come to training, they want some sort of structure. If you want it to, like, it's kind of like what he was saying of like, I just went and watched YouTube videos and it was like, kind of like I picked up stuff. This is structure. And that's the model that we were kind of at before. It was like, hey, put out this content, all this stuff. And what we found was like, it's great. We got subscriptions through that of like, kind of like spray and pray content. We were more of a creator economy type platform. And then we got the same feedback. Hey, can we get something more structured? I want to like have like a 6-month program where I know that I'm getting videos and I know that I'm, it's working towards what I'm trying to achieve. So, and people want to spend money on training. It's actually like, it's the most whack thing ever. Right. And like, in my mind is like, I would love free training, but like people associate value with paying for it. And so people,
Mm.
that's why parents are willing to spend so much money for training, is because they're like, they assume by spending more, they're increasing their chances or they're getting better training, which isn't always the case, right? People get ripped off all the time with training. But, we are looking to be a little bit more on the affordable side. But it's more of, we're putting a system in place. And, the one thing is college athletes is like, they're not necessarily content creators by nature, right? I think we all are to some extent because we have iPhones and they have like 12 cameras on them and they zoom into the moon and all that crap. But they like as an athlete, you're like a natural born coach because you spend your whole life being coached. You know what it looks like and you know what works best for you and you know the drills that you do to fix a problem or you know how to you problem solve. So we want to help you with that and then we make everything else like really, really simple. We walk you through, we have like our upload process uses AI so that, it'll watch your video and then give you a summary. That way you're not like having to type out like the things that college athletes aren't great at. We help them with that so that they can be good at what they're good at, which is, putting out the content and knowing what drills and skills are required to take the jumps that these athletes are taking to jump. So we have that unique perspective there as well as our upload process. Cause I know there's a lot of those platforms out there that, you upload content and all this stuff, but like course programs, oh my gosh, dude, for like figuring out how to do it for ourselves, we went through and like uploaded courses for like other platforms like Udemy and dude, they are awful.
Yeah.
And like as a college athlete, I would have tapped out in the first 5 seconds if I didn't have a greater motivation. So like that's our goal is like, you can do it through text and all that stuff, but people want uniform. They want, they want a schedule. They want these things. They want structure. And
Sure.
that's what we're giving them. One thing is we're not just like hey, sign up and start creating content. It's, you're meeting with us. Every athlete on our platform, we have a one-on-one relationship with. They will text me. They'll call me all the time. If they ever have questions, but we sit down with them and we go, okay, like what are the pillars, right, that you would want to have? Like if you're training an athlete, what are the 5 pillars they need to have to make, this jump to the next level or, to improve? And then we help them build, okay, well, if it's footwork, then, what under footwork, right? We help them work through all this stuff because they have the answers. It's more about, it's our job to dig that out of them. And then over time that'll become more and more efficient. But, as a platform, we'll never grow if we're not driving real results, which is part of the reason we have like that upload process of like, if you're applying for my program, you have to submit a video is because, when you're 6 months down the line and you're done the program, we're going to have you submit the same video again. And we're going to put them side by side and be like, hey, look at how much better you've gotten. Cause we need to be able to show proof of, of results or else our platform is, worth negative $1.1 million. So, got to drive results.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you is the strategy here like, in terms of customer acquisition, going to high schools, going back to your hometown, starting with your core, the high schoolers that look up to you and say, "Hey man, can you be beta testers? Can you just try out the content?" Like who so far has used your platform and who keeps coming back?
Yeah. So pretty much what you just said. So we helped our athletes. And again, this is all through the old model. We're still building out in the process. We'll be
Sure.
done by the end of 2024 with this program like build. But what we have learned from, like our second pivot, which is like this subscription type content. We went right to like, okay, where do we have where are we going to have the highest conversion rate? And it's people that know you, right? It's like I use myself in college football. Nobody knows who I am. They don't know who the heck Tanner Maddocks is. But if you go back to my high school, I was a first Division I player for my high school. That is a lot of value and a lot of weight, and people know who I was. So we help them with crafting emails or text messages to their high school coaches or their ADs and say, hey, I'm doing training. I would love to train athletes from my high school. Would you share the word? And that actually, we had great conversion rate there. But then just social media. Athletes just putting it on social media and
Yeah.
kids. And so those were the 2 places we got them from, but we didn't push any of them. We didn't tell them like, hey, tell them to try for free. We didn't actually have free users on like in the sense of like, we weren't just like, hey, use this program for free or subscribe. We'll give you a free subscription. We did all paid because you can get anybody to sign up for anything that's free, but you want them to put their money where their mouth is. Because we
For
had,
sure.
obviously, if we run a survey and that's like what people think, they run a survey and they're like, this is what it's going to be like. It's like, they say they're going to spend $100 a month on their platform. And then, they actually go to spend money. It's like, they're not willing to spend $5 now. What's the disconnect, right? It's because there is a disconnect between actually putting in your card information and click, all of that stuff. So we went through with that and we did well. And then we surveyed the hundreds of athletes that were on our platform on the user side of things. And now we're where we're at. We don't really want to waste time. Our goal is like, hey, failing is part of starting a business. It's part of every phase of life. Why not just fail faster? So that's our goal. We don't really waste time. Is like, we got feedback. And we're like, hey, this is where we're going.
Great. I like that you use that word, failing fast. And I love the switch that you made from, telling athletes to just post as much shit as possible to actually going to your customers and users and be like, hey, what do you want to be made? Like, let's make something for you. So kudos to you for making that shift. And they say third time's the charm, but even if you pivot 6 more times, man, I know I have a strong feeling you'll figure it out. But what struck my eye, Tanner, and what I told Joseph this guy is bold. Middle of the season, college quarterback, Division I athlete, is in school. You hope. I don't know if you're a comms
apparently,
major.
apparently not right now.
Probably
We're
not.
just chilling.
We'll assume he is.
Right?
Yeah, he's on his break, so right now he's good. He has more time to focus on the business. But like Tanner, once again, I told Yosef, I said, Yosef, this guy posted on LinkedIn he's raising money for his startup while being an active student athlete in college at a very important position. Are you nuts or are you nuts? Like how you talk about the structure of the company and like fundraising in college?
Yeah, definitely something nuts. I'd say I fall on that for sure. I'm very stubborn. Definitely can take that on. I think honestly, like it's funny. I got like confirmation of it because I was always curious. Like my whole life, I've always been like, I don't know. I've been odd in some senses of like I've always done things that like most people don't do.
It's a
And
great thing for entrepreneurship.
well, I have something that else will blow your mind that I'll get to in a second. But I heard it was Tom Brady. I think it was like when I don't know if you've seen the dude that like does like the street barber stuff. But he was like cutting his hair and he was like, he thinks one of his best attributes or something along the lines of like was being naive. I am 100% naive at times. Like when I thought, I looked at my high school, I'm like, yeah, they won 4 games in 3 years. I'm going to go there and I'm going to play Division I football, which has never been done before. I'm going to do it on a scholarship. Like that was just naive. Like anybody else would look at that and be like, yeah, I'm stacked up. The cards are against me, right? I'm going to go walk the other direction, or I'm just going to kind of like, hey, I'll enjoy playing high school football. It'll be my time with my buddies and I'll be good, right? There was like a level of naiveness. I will say that. And I don't know if it's that or like overextended confidence. I don't know which one it is, but I'm, whatever it is, I'm blessed to have it. And then the same thing was like when I started business, this is my first business that I ran. I ran one in high school. We were in 6 months, we were doing 6 figures in profit. Like we were annihilating, the market, and rarely I had nothing. It was in
What
Web3.
did you do in high school? What was the company in high school?
It was an NFT company. And so
Wow.
I started, so all my ventures really came from each other. So when I was 11, I played Monopoly with my brothers. I got 5 brothers. We all used to play Monopoly and it was extremely competitive. I love the game of Monopoly. And I thought that investors were the coolest people on earth. Like any other 11-year-old, you're like, these dudes are awesome. Like this is what I want to be when I grow up. And then I was like, I want to make a game like that's Monopoly, but like kind of on steroids. Like it was basically based off investors. Only problem, I knew nothing about investors other than I thought they were cool. So I got a book. I hate reading, but I got a book about investing. It's called Everything You Need. It's your everything guide for your early 20s and 30s in investing. Like talk about like Roth IRA stuff that was way over my head. But I read this book and I was 11 years old just so that I could make a board game that was realistic to trading. By the time I was 15, I built out and I completed a complete prototype. Now it just collects dust at my house. I actually don't even really know where it's at, but it's somewhere probably in my basement. But that led me to, I then did day trading through my dad's custodial account. And then NFTs came around and like, they're basically like a day trader's like dream. They're just stocks, but extremely volatile because they're backed by absolutely nothing. So I went into that and I'm like, all right,
good timing.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go into this. I'm just going to buy low, sell high. Same idea behind stocks. I did really well in stocks. I was like, this is a paradise because I'm not going to get like, targeted for like day trading and get my, my E-Trade account shut down or something like that. So I was like, great, this is awesome. I can do as much as I want. And then I figured out like, I started doing the math on like how much people were making from starting these projects. And it pissed me off. I'm not somebody that's like motivated by money. It actually like, it pissed me off that like people were like making like so much money so fast because that's really what NFTs did. And then they would just pocket it. And then like, that was it, and that kind of irritated me of like, there was no giving back. There was no like, there was nothing. It was just pocket money and dip. So I started NFT projects and we gave back a portion of what we made to charities or, different things. So we did that. I built that out. And then that's what's actually been funding our company to date and leads into where we're at now, where we're going to outside funding.
So wait, so you made enough money from NFTs that it's been funding Athlete Squared up until now.
Yep, for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
And it's like your team is more than just you.
yeah. So we have two other guys. We are probably one of the youngest. We have average of like I think our oldest guy's 21 years old, which is our developer. He doesn't go to school. He's been coding since he was like 13 years old. And he's actually he was a friend of the other guy that's on our team. He's also a college student. Played football growing up. Couldn't play in college because of just like concussions and medical crap. So he ended up joining us. Helps with like day to day operations. Right. Obviously, one of the biggest concerns people have is like how much can I manage. He helps a lot just on like the college athlete side, and it's not like I don't
Got
have
it.
time. We really just work hand in hand together.
Yeah.
Um, and it's more of just like taking like the little things. It's more of like delegation things. Like how do I take like the little things off my plate so I can deal with the big things, right? But that's really like our team. And then we have also we have a developer on like a part-time basis that I just pay out of pocket. But like our guy that's helping with day-to-day operations, he was at Holy Cross. He just dropped out and moved to Villanova to work on this full time. And
Wow.
then our developer's girlfriend just moved to Villanova. She just transferred in from her school, and he's moving to Villanova. So,
So
kind of speaks
basically,
about
your headquarters is where you're talking is
Yeah.
right now. Basically,
pretty
your
much, yeah.
employees are next to.
Whatever spare bedroom I have in my house is where our headquarters are based out of.
Got it. Right. And so, sorry, tying that all in and tying all this in back to, raising money, while in college, man, like, talk about this process of fundraising, as shit, hard to fundraise if you're like full time on it, like athlete or
Yeah,
not, like, you know what I mean?
yeah. It's an interesting experience. I would say is like, um, I never fundraised before. I've also never filed like a Delaware C corp company before. So I've done a lot of
Yeah.
things in this company that I've just never done before. So like
First for
there's a
everything.
lot of things, and I think like that's where like the naiveness comes in is like, oh, I can start a company and yeah, figuring out the legal side and all this other stuff and fundraising and finding a guy that starting a sports tech company and you've no clue how to write a single line of code, couldn't even write hello world if I wanted to. Like, I got no experience and I was like, I got this. This should be easy. And I don't think anybody that actually, if they saw the whole company, anybody that ever started a company, I don't think they could, if they saw the whole process and the finish line, I still think that they would just be like, no, I'm never starting that again. Because there's just so much. And you're like, it sucks. Starting a company, like, everything's just like this glamorous thing. And it's like being an entrepreneur. It's like a buzzword to people. They're like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm an entrepreneur.
High
Like,
status. Now it's high status. Used to be low
yeah, it's a
status.
very high status thing, right? Because like they see the end goal and they're like, oh, these guys are rich and they do this or they do that and they live this luxury life. And like, yeah, but you don't understand, like like they were sleeping, like you look at like Elon, the dude's sleeping in like in an office that was like leaky and rats and all this other stuff just so that he could build his company. And that was like their office and it was cheaper than buying a house. Like, like these are the type of things that like, I don't think anybody in the right mind looking at that is like, I want to live in that situation for a year and a half or 2 years until this company that's probably going to fail anyways. Cause statistically, like you're going to fail, right? Like when you look at all the odds, again, they're all just stacked up against you. So it's just more logical to be like, no, I'm not even gonna start this. I'll just go work a 9 to 5. And, like I I think there's like this level of like, you have to have some sort of disconnect to at least start. Um, but as far as fundraising goes, I mean, like it really started from I just have conversations with people about like this is what we're building, and I don't ask for money. I'm not like somebody that does that, and it ended up just they would be like, "How much money do you want?" Like I had actually like we've raised 20% of what we're looking to raise. None of those are outbound, zero. Every single person that has funded our company has been a LinkedIn person that just DMs me and calls me. And I'm like, dude, the one I talk about, one of the guys, we joke about it now. He's been an investor with us for a while, but he's been waiting to invest for a while. We've had a really good relationship. The first time he called me, I was changing the oil in my car because I didn't really know what the conversation was about because he was very broad in his first like text message me or his message. He was like, want to learn more about, Athlete Squared. I'm like, dude, this is the most generic, like come with a question, like let me know you actually are like looking into it. And I'm like changing the oil in my car. And then he's like, yeah, I'll invest. And I'm like, dude, we're not even looking for investments. And then like, we wrap around 6 months later to when we start raising money today. And he's like, yeah, I had it in a separate bank account for you guys the whole time. Like that was like the extent of like, we've just really just been like sitting here and people have been like, how much money? And we're like, we've been, no, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Yeah, inbound investors the best, man. It's a great
It's
feeling when they go in the
absolutely. And
community.
for me, it's like raising funds like halts everything else. If I have to go outbound and constantly be in meetings, I can't design, I can't develop, I can't
Yep.
make sure our
It takes
team's
the wind out of your sails. So that's like,
exactly. Yeah, you're left sitting there. So we've been fortunate enough and blessed to have like this inbound, come in, and we've honestly, like, I've preferred to struggle. That's one thing most people don't say. I've preferred to, and that's why we haven't taken money. Is as much as I've self funded it, like, we are very, very frugal with money. We've done a year and a half and we've never raised money, and like, obviously I've been able to back it and had the company before this, but like, our goal shouldn't be to, like, we have money, let's just spend it. It's like, how do we you force yourself when you don't have money to be so resourceful, and like, it's like a do or die of like, hey, I need a guy to join our team for equity, or Athlete Squared is just never going to be a thing. It's just going to be an idea, right? And you approach things very, very differently. And I think, like, it's a Harvard study that they did of, like, the one indicator of success. It was grit. Like, how gritty are you? You're not gritty if you have like money coming in left and right, or you're just like, we actually prefer to just be like, let's figure it out. Like,
yeah.
I
No, absolutely. I,
language barriers on this, but I'm like, you got to be a gritty motherfucker, like, to work on our team. Like, that's the goal, right? And that's who we want on our company. And nobody's going to do that if we have, if we have $1 million in the pipeline. Everybody's going to want to work for us. We know that. It's more of, how do we find the guys that are willing to stick around for a year, like the guys that we had, and willing to move their girlfriend to our school and themselves and drop out of school, for no pay and just equity in a company. Those are the kind of guys that are going to build this to what it's going to be in a few years.
So would you be naive enough to move to San Francisco just to shoot some pods?
With depends who with. With you, probably not, but if I get someone else in my life, hey, who knows, man?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. No, that checks out. I appreciate I totally get it, man. The grittiness and wanting to stay as lean as possible. Tanner, in any of the investing meetings you've had, has anyone said, like, dude, you're in the middle of your season? Are you even on this full time? Like, has there been pushback on the fundraise itself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you dive into that? Are you allowed to share anything from that? Like, I'm
Yeah, I mean,
curious.
there's an investor. They're a firm that invested in, like, early stage, Airbnb, like that kind of level. Let's just put it like that. That type of level. I don't.
Top
I'm not allowed to.
tier one type of firm.
Yes, tier one type of firm. And I'm going through meetings. I'm rolling through them. So you start with the associate, then you get to like a general or manager part. Like, we worked our way up, and I get to like a third meeting with them, and this is like, they're very clear. Like, hey, this is it. This is like the yes or no, right?
Yep.
Over several weeks, they're diving into everything, and they go, hey, we'll fund you all the money, and I'm like, sweet. I'm just sitting there like, let's go. Like, finally, we can just like kind of like move on, get past this. And then it was, you have to drop out of school. Like, we've gotten that.
Told you that?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're very honest, because I get it. Like, from the outside in, it's like, there's no way he could work on this more than, like I've had people, like, I've gotten meetings like, oh, so you work on this, like, what? Like, you play football, all this stuff, you must work on it, like, what, 10 hours a week? Like, I'm like, what, in what world do you think that's what I do? It's a question that I'm going to get, and it's a concern that I know people are going to have. And I get it from the outside looking in, and I didn't get to this point yet, but like, I play football. I do school. I'm not, I don't do great in school. I'm very honest about that. And I have very honest conversations.
Man, you and Yosa would get along for sure.
Hey, C's
Yeah.
get degrees, baby. Hey,
Yep.
He's
get degrees.
C's and D's get degrees, baby.
there you go. You can
But
take one of
like,
them.
my coaches are never concerned about my eligibility. That's never a problem. I know that. And I do it. And the same thing is with high school. High school, I did school because of necessity to get me to college. And then now I'm in college, and it's a necessity to make sure that I'm good to play on Saturdays. That's what I see it as. I see it as baggage that comes with what I'm trying to do. And so, like, again, most people are like, schools, and if you view school and you're like, this is how you get a future and all this stuff, and you go to Villanova, it's a great academic school. It's like, yeah, I probably made the wrong choice there. But like, I'm a communication major because it requires—
Oh, there we go. Now we're getting to it. So you're a comms major.
I was supposed to be put in the business school actually because of our company, because we get a lot of media coverage in our area and really in other places. And I met with the dean. They're like, let's move you in. And I'm like, great. Cause I was like, at least I'll take some classes that, like, I understand.
How many classes are you taking right now?
I have to take 5. I at least have to take 12 credits, which is 4. Okay. I actually take 4 now. I dropped the other class because I didn't. The teacher didn't
Okay,
really
we're getting there. But four's still a decent amount.
Well, you have to take 12 credits per semester to be a full-time student. So I got like one more year and then I'm a grad. And then I can take like half a class and,
It's a
you
good
know,
life.
yes, it's a good life. So I've heard. I'm waiting for it. But yeah, so like school, I don't do great, but like it was so funny. I came in and our coaches were like, get above a 3.0. Like that was like their goal for me. Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, I'll see what I can do. And then it was like, they're like, how about a 2.8? And then like, this last semester, like, let's just stay above a 2.4. I'm like, let's do it. Like I can rock with that. They see what I'm doing with the business. They love it. They actually use it to like help with recruits. Like, I don't know if you've seen on my LinkedIn, like Mark Cuban's been a guy that's been helping us out. And, I email back and forth with him. Oh, I will literally, we'll have recruits over and like, I'll walk through the hallway and then I just hear like, oh yeah, he's starting a company. He's one of our players. He's got, Mark Cuban's been like, I know that they use it, which is great because on the other end, I get to be like, hey, when they get a report from a teacher that I didn't show up
Join
to
my
class.
platform.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, listen, hold on. Remember when you used me as a recruiting, tool.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry to go to class. I was too busy emailing Mark Cuban, going back and forth.
I got school, I got football. Half, we would say maybe part time. You can say school, but then I got football. I got the business. I'm married as well. I've been married. I got married at 18 years old. I've been married for over 2 years.
Are you Mormon?
And what? No,
Are you?
no, I'm Christian.
Why do you go right to being Mormon if he gets married
My
at
bad.
18?
My
Well, no,
bad.
that is
I
common.
know it happens often, but
Yeah, listen, you can
Hey,
be
hey,
like,
you would know, yo. So you went to school in Utah. What do you mean? Ask how you getting at me for asking that question?
yeah, well,
yeah,
the first
yeah,
thing you
listen,
say is someone gets married at 18, they're Mormon. It just not it doesn't equate to being Mormon
hold
if they
on.
get
Oh,
married
wait,
young.
you're from Utah,
No, I
or
went to high school in Utah for
you
like
know
yeah.
Gary G. He was a BYU soccer player. He's like doing
He went to Wasatch Academy.
I went to the high school in Utah. I didn't go to college. I went to
okay, yeah.
Santa Clara. Yeah.
Well, he was like a soccer player there, but he does like I don't know. It's like he travels the world now with like his family. It's called the Bucket List family. They're huge now. They make like a lot of money. But he was a soccer player there, married and raised money in college and sold his business in college too. Sold it for like $54 million.
Oh, there's been a blueprint here for you, sir. Got it. Get married at 18, raise money,
Yeah.
and sell the
And
company.
travel.
How old are you right now?
I'm 20. I was married before him though. I got married before.
Yeah, got his ass. Yeah.
Got him.
20
Now
years old. I don't care that he
raise-
got my ass, yo. So who gives?
he raised $7 million while he was in college, and then sold the company for 70 or to Snapchat for 54 million like 2 years later. A year
That's
later.
legal?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
So you're
And
married. You
Yes.
have a ring. Can I see the ring?
I mean, I have a rubber one.
Damn.
I while I practice, so I got a rubber one.
Damn. Yo, so check that. Well, get a load of that thing, man.
love to see it, man.
Yep.
awesome.
Yes. If you can tell, I'm not a typical college kid. A typical college
You're
kid.
not a
yes,
typical kid, period. Forget about
Yeah.
college. That's
Yeah, I can't even
established that.
drink yet, and I married and all this other crap. But I know how to balance my life. I'm really good at that, and as much as it's the scales do tip, I would say there's not too much of a balance with school. But again, it's like understanding where my priorities are at is like. I don't party. I don't do any of these other things. I don't drink. I don't, any of that crap. What I do is I play football. I get good enough grades, which I consider part of football anyways. And then I go home and I hang out with my wife and I work. Like that's my life. I'm a very boring person, and my life looks really exhilarating. It's like this is awesome. I live a very routine life. I do the same thing every day. I wake up early. Like, I sacrifice a lot. I sacrifice sleep a lot of times. I'll come in. We have practice at 6 a.m. I'll go watch film at 4 a.m. because I don't want to watch it after practice so that I can focus on building the business. Like there's things that I sacrifice and have to put on the line. And I'm good with making those calls to build this. And again, there's like that level of like maybe naiveness to get started, but now I have like a competitive and I'm confident in what we're building and that's going to change lives. And so, it allows me to be able to do these things and sacrifice those things.
You got a good story on maybe a challenge you faced building the business that you could share, a personal story of like hardship, like damn, like this entrepreneurship is getting real.
Yeah. I mean, recently, like, I think you ever seen like the startup chart where it's like, like you have like the high hopes and then it's like what is it called? I forget what like the pit's called. It's like,
Is it
like
the meme of like the bell curve where you have like the one guy on the other end, the guy who's like thinking too much on top and then there's another guy on the other side?
No, it's called the Startup Curve. It was by Paul Graham, but it's called, or I have it pulled up here, but it's like the tech crunch of initiation. So like you're excited when you start it, then it's the wearing off, then it's called the Valley of Sorrow. So you go through that and you just like crash, and then you go there, and then it's the crash of ineptitude, where like all these companies fail, and then it's called Wiggles of Hope. You think you're going to get out, and then you don't, and then it's like new innovation, the promised land, and then you get to the other side. And most companies don't make it through that. I don't know if we just have a bunch of valleys of sorrow in our company, but we had a really, like, when we first started, like we had a great stretch, and like I'm not gonna lie, like I started companies and I know that there's failures and all this other stuff. Like we legit like went multiple months without having like anything. We were like to the point where I was concerned. I was like, we got to be like screwing up a little bit more, guys. Like we got to start making some mistakes in here to make sure that we're on the right track. So and really all that really was just like we needed to like increase the risk that we were taking. And I would say like we kind of got into that of when we were testing the second iteration of things. We started to have some subscriptions, and for us that was like wiggles of fall. So we were like, all right, kind of get in that direction, right? And really we were just like ignoring a bigger problem of like, is this really sustainable, and is this really going to do what we need it to do? And then that's when we started to get the customer feedback. So we kind of pulled ourselves out, and we're almost like we've got like a restart, a little refreshing. But I would say like really the only like there's not really anything hard about it. It's more like just being okay with the sacrifices that come along with it. Like guys are going to go out and they're going to text you about like, yo, you want to come hang out, and like there's certain things that you can't do. There's things that you have to sacrifice, and you have to be okay with it, of like, dealing with missing out on that, and there wasn't really anything other than like my wife and football that I did, like that was it. So,
Yeah.
I would say it's more of like an ongoing process, honestly. Like I would say like, if you choose to look at the bad, there's a lot of things that I could list out, but I choose to look at the good. I got a really, really good team that, we're building this on the shoulders of. I have a great wife. I have a great marriage. I play Division I football on a scholarship. I'm blessed. I got great teammates, and
Yeah,
I don't really,
no doubt,
I
man.
look at it and complain about it. But when I signed up for it, I knew that there was going to be, I was going to get, my feet wiped out. I was going to get, knocked in the head. I knew all those things, So
Yeah.
it's more of just
What?
there's a lot of doubt that comes with it, though, from a lot of other people. But I'm not, by the nature of the position that I play, I don't care about what people think about me. So I think it's, again, the way that God wired me has helped me out.
No doubt, absolutely. What would you say biggest lesson you've learned on this journey so far about being an entrepreneur?
Um, I'd say there's two things. I'd say number one is just the people you have on your boat. I use like the reference of like if I was on a canoe, right, and I was paddling, and there's 10 guys on my boat, right, and we're all rowing in sync, and we're how fast are we moving. If you get one guy that's rowing the wrong direction, how much does that mess up the whole boat? It doesn't matter if 9 other guys are rowing the right direction as hard as they can. If one guy is going the wrong direction, it screws everything else up. So, we're very, very like, it's like, yeah, you have a small team. Maybe that's out of necessity. But that's also what we prefer is like, I have guys that I can trust, and I know I have guys on our team that are going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver, which is important. We don't really want to have a big team. We want to stay as small as possible because, like you said earlier, like pivots are great, right? Well, pivots are great when you can do them fast. When you have,
Yeah, sure,
when
sure.
you're so focused on like, again, it's just getting caught up in like the idea of like entrepreneurship is like, this is awesome. I'm gonna have so many interns and employees. Like that makes it so much harder to pivot. It makes it so much harder to move. There's so much, more things. There's this like huge org chart that everybody talks about. It's like for us, it's like we just do whatever the heck you got to do. I don't care if our developers got to learn how to market. If that's what our need is at the moment, he'll do it, right? And like again, there's stages for that later on down the line, but understanding like, hey, the team's important. But then the other thing is like I would say on a personal lesson, I've always had this in my life, but money's just not important. It's a necessity to live, but if you're building your company for money, if you're doing anything for money, then you're number one, you're gonna fail probably. Number one or number two, you're gonna be miserable. I've never been somebody to care about money. I know that God's gonna provide for me, so my job is to just focus on what's at hand. And our goal and our mission is to impact young athletes and allow them and really just college athletes and young athletes, as we say, is like we are a training platform, but what we really sell is opportunity. We sell the opportunity to monetize who you are as a college athlete, and we give you the opportunity to maximize your training like I did when I was a young athlete. When the cards were stacked up against me, right? give that kid, that little kid, that's me 10 years from now, I want to give him the opportunity to maximize his potential and see where he can take that. And that's what we said. We're a
Yeah.
company. So focus on the mission more than the money.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No, I appreciate that being mission driven. Now you're on scholarship. Some of us have to pay bills around here, so money does matter for a select group of
Yep.
people. But no, absolutely. Like I'm in the same boat, man. I love doing this. We've made money off of this, but for me, it's more about the impact of shining the light on this new class of entrepreneurs, which is guys like yourself. Yosef, you got anything before we head out of here, man? Any questions for Tanner or?
Yeah, my kind of based on what you just said, my last one is when do you think that like do you have a timeline on when you want to make that final pivot, or are you just going to keep on going with the flow until you feel like you're ready to just jump like all in and just push it to the limit in terms of like monetary value?
So you're saying like exiting it at some point?
Not exiting, more like making it like a big thing where you're involving other people, bringing in new employees, and like you fully commit to like whatever you're doing in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, like again, there's things that are more important to me than money. And it's like I put a lot of time into this company. A
Yeah.
lot. I work a full-time job on top of working another full-time job, right? Like, and there's no way it's even a minute. I mean, at a minimum, 40 hours, I would say is like on a really off week would be that's how much time I put in this company. So, it's not really like that. It's just more of I'm never going to get college football back. And I'm very clear with people on this and investors. And that's why, the VC route for us isn't typically the best because that's not what they want to hear. I'm never going to get college football back. I can start a company when I'm 22 years old when I graduate. I can start a company when I'm 30 years old after I graduate. I will never, ever get the opportunity to take another snap on a college football field. That's going to run out. That's one thing that does expire. And I'm not giving that up. And I don't see a need to. And honestly, anybody that sees that as a downside, or like that's he's in school, that's a downside. They're not seeing it for what it is. And the reason I brought up that Gary G guy that played at BYU is like he said the same thing. I have a relationship with him now, and he just said like there was a lot of VCs that were like this is no way. He's like, but then I found VCs that were like I love this, stay in school. Like this is your huge advantage, and for us that is I am our living proof of the product, number one, but I also am our target user. So that's not something I'm willing to give up. And again, to each their own. If they don't like it, good for you. But there's other people that will. It's more about I have to find the right people for that. But my goal is to just continue to run this company. And again, I run it for one thing, and that's the mission. And if I don't, we had the opportunity to actually we had a company reach out to buy us, a guy that I'm actually pretty close with, a larger company, like months back through the old model, and we didn't because we didn't get close enough to the mission yet.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for, not a easy sellout or anything else. And like we all would have did well, we all would have got reemployed through that company, and I would have been able to stay in school and make money and great. Like, but again, I started this for one reason, to deliver opportunity to kids, and I haven't done that yet. So until that happens, my job is to continue to put my head down and grind. So that's really where I don't plan out dates or anything like that. My job is to continue until the mission is accomplished.
No doubt. No doubt. Appreciate it, man. Well, awesome, Tanner. Thank you so much, man, for joining the pod. This has been another great episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I've been your host, Noah Lack, with my guest co-host, Joseph Vrankich, chatting with Villanova quarterback Tanner Maddocks on his company, Athletes Squared. Tanner, welcome to the community, my man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys for having me. It was a blast, and I'm looking forward to keeping a relationship.
No doubt.